It feels a little surreal to be here without Dawo and my mother Felicia. Last Sunday, now it's 2 weeks ago, my mother called me looking stunned. We couldn't believe Dawo was gone. It happened so suddenly, a mild cough that ended him on life support, and gone in 48 hours. I was invited here by Dawo and my mother. I understand partially since they were celebrating their partnership, and Dawo was particularly elated by being able to exhibit the works that represent the highlights of his creativity. I must disclose that I'm not an artist, nor a calligrapher. My appreciation is only as a student of Mandarin and a beginner's understanding of the form and technique of calligraphy. I guess I can only speak honestly about Dawo through my mother's words. His time with her spans over 3 decades. I met him when I was 11 years old, in the late 1980s. I met a slight but eccentric man who reminded me of a Chinese John Lennon. He spoke very sparingly and was shy. I suppose a person's works can express much more about their personality than what we take at face value. And in this case, I didn't really understand the depth of the man, until I went to one of his exhibitions. I walked from painting to painting, trying to connect with the patterns and swirls that seemed to dance off the paper. I remember stopping in front of a particularly colourful one. It seemed playful. Others were intense and serious. I commented later on how I really liked the colours of this particular painting, and he simply gave it to me. My mother, Felicia, reminded me that Dawo, the Chinese characters for big and me, can lead people to assume that his father may have held great aspirations for him, or that it is conceited. Yet its true meaning lies in the common saying, 牺牲小我, 完成大我. This means when the little I, the me, the individual, is sacrificed, the big me, the greater unity of country or society can be accomplished. So in a way, Dawo was placed upon this earth dedicated to creating something much bigger than himself. How appropriate that his life's work should be thus expressed in art. Growing up, I didn't have much direct contact with Dawo, and I assumed that he was quite reclusive, especially in his later years. My mother refers to him as having lived for his art, that he would spend 24 hours thinking about how he intended to compose his next piece. In his eulogy, his son Jack describes a shy and bashful young Dawo who endured many hardships, growing up during the Cultural Revolution in China and enduring even imprisonment. Though he eventually had his own family to support with 2 young sons, he would spend the family income on books, paper, and ink, as if he was living in this world, but not of it. I suppose when one has visited Tasmania, the island that I grew up in, you will know that it is raw and achingly beautiful in places. Its elements are so powerful in some that the land becomes a blank canvas, a playground for the powers of nature. Dawo's inspirations would certainly have come from here. Nature can at once make one feel so insignificant but also powerful. I get the sense that this is what comes through in many of his paintings. My mother learned that Dawo worked driven by specific principles. 势 is the Chinese word for potential or power. It can also mean influence, drive, and momentum. The 势 of calligraphy is how the piece is created, effectively imbuing a piece with one's intent, one's spirit. This will be uniquely expressed each time, producing different results. For example, Dawo's depiction of 势, a painting untitled, is one and the same, so forcefully generated into the character that he has written for mountain or shan. That is a beautiful piece of pictography. However, on closer look, its depth of tone, composition, and flow of stroke is so striking that the power of shi becomes apparent. It is vitality itself. Having begun his journey as a classically and rigidly trained calligrapher in China, the evolution of his art is striking, and one can't help wondering if the move to Tasmania and the influence of those he met there shaped the distinctive new abstract style that emerged. Dawo leaves behind him not only his family and friends and those he has touched, but also his art, which I don't think it is an understatement to say that it's part of him. Separating the man and the art is almost impossible. Thank you.